All right, what's up, guys? Hello, hi, how's everybody doing? Boop, boop, boop. It's Friday, let's go. So excited. It has been a long week. It's been a long week. What do we have fired up? Do we have, TikTok's just coming online. We got YouTube in the house. I wonder who's in here. Hello, SML, how's it going? Neek Hawks, what's up? How are you? Kyron Chan, hello. Hi. Illinois in the house. Hello, Suzanne. How are you? Who else do we have? Higgy Homestead. Higgy Homestead? Either way, it's got a great ring to it. Welcome. Rook, I'm gone. Well, sorry. Let's see. Crew, what are we here for? Rook. Oh, really? Sammy, that's so wild. You know, I went to school in Albuquerque, New Mexico, high school.
Now let's bring in NBC's Garrett Hake, who's at the White House right now. Garrett, first off, big question here. When it comes to the whole war power,
our drama class in 9th grade or 10th grade, and I think she was from Denmark royalty. It was pretty interesting. All right, Shinzen, I visit May doing TV. Ooh, Telemundo in Phoenix. Very cool. Update on my leg. Let me tell you. Ready? You want to see? Silvio Santiago, boa noite. Look at this. I took the ankle monitor off. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if it's going to work, but it can take some weight, so should be fun. If you see me collapse on the floor, please call the ambulance. What else? How's it going, Nikki? I don't think I've seen you for a little while. James, happy Friday to you. Man, it is nice to be on a Friday. What is going on here? Close user, picture in picture, video source, front ultra wide. Let's try that. That work better? No. Let's see. For some reason, this camera looks a little black. Right? It's the iPad camera. You'll get the good camera in just a little bit. I have 91 on my phone on standby. Where's my mug? I don't know. It's a good question. That is a great question. So, if Gotti gets hurt, call Lisa. Yes, please do. Wait, how do we have 6 people on Twitch? That's huge. Twitch is a pretty cool place. If you guys have trouble on YouTube or on TikTok, all those people watching, you can always jump over on Twitch. Jeff Marr? I don't know. Are you sure you're not Jeff Marr? 200 or 00294. It has been a minute. Lisa's getting better as well. Lisa has been recovering, both of us. What was the pain thing that pain is only the absence of pain leaving your body, or I don't know, something like that. Update on Lisa. She is improving. SML, thank you so much for asking. So here's what's going to happen today on the news. We are going to talk once again. What should we lead with today? What do you guys think we should lead with today? How about that? Stephanie Garcia, I do, of course. Savannah Banana story on Nightly News, I missed it. But I'll have to check it out because we don't have it, I don't think, tonight. But what we do have is a story about a little duckling, and actually 12 little ducklings following their mom going to a school. We've got a bunch of awesome stories that we are going to be showing you. My favorite one of the night is hands down going to be Joanna Stern. She's awesome. She is the absolute tech guru of NBC, and she got one of those Unitree robots. Have you seen those? And she just took it home. She's like, all right, do me some laundry. Did not go well. What went well is, well, like dance party, and that's about it. Supreme Court ruling, we covered that. Yep. David in California. Yeah, I mean, that is such a graphic, horrific story, Suzanne. We've been covering that too, and it's just, you know, unspeakable what happened to her. What you talking about, SML? Is there music? Sammy, that is a very good question. Oh my gosh, hi. Wait, did you just, like, I swear, are you best friends with Kevin? Because Kevin is, yes, that Hank Green's Artemis timeline and the pictures is so sick. Hank Green is the GOAT. And if you guys don't know who he is, just do a deep dive. All of his stuff is amazing. And this Artemis timeline that he put together with AI, like that is one of the, you know, we get bummed out about, oh, AI is doing this or can do this or what did it do? And then you see a use case like what Hank Green did with the Artemis timeline, and you're like, all right, this, I could get behind stuff like this. So yeah, shout out to him. Very cool. Doreen, hola, how are you? But yeah, what we were talking about, how long I've been doing this? Well, username 00294 knows, because I think we worked together at KOB. That was 2000 and, I'm trying to think, I started at KOB on the desk in 2004, I think. So I started at KNBC maybe in 2003. How many years is that? Is that 23 years? Yeah, I've been a journalist for 23 years. 23 years of journalism. Joanna is now part of NBC News. Yeah, Wall Street Journal. I mean, she's incredible. And she's got this thing called, I think, New Things. It's on YouTube. You should check it out. It's amazing. And her first one was with Casey Neistat. And, you know, she talked to him about the inspiration for leaving mainstream media, Wall Street Journal, starting her own thing. But we are lucky enough to be forward thinkers, and we have a partnership with her. So she's also reporting for NBC News. Like, we are so lucky for that. Yeah, really, really great. I saw you put the show at the end of the show. Oh, SML, you're talking about how we fixed the knock. Yeah, that's Kevin. Kevin figured out how to route that thing through. So, yeah, he is amazing. And yes, Joanna Stern is the GOAT. Mythical Mom, welcome. Let's see. Snapchat misses you? Aw, Ricky, thanks so much. Do you still get a lot of news on Snapchat? I've used it. The Discover page, I still get like my Peter Hamby fix, even though he's a homie of mine, and his takes on what's happening a lot shorter on Snapchat. And yeah, his show, Good Luck America, is awesome. And then also he's got this amazing podcast called The Powers That Be Now. So you can catch Peter all over the place. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, very, very proud of her.
1 minute.
JW. What? We're starting at the big wall? You guys are wanting me to break my foot right off the bat? All right, here we go. This is, I have a broken navicular. So this is the first day that I'm doing the show without the boot. If you guys are new to the show, what's about to happen here? What's going on?
Can you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
I got it. Uh-oh, what's our time back?
Working on it. 1 sec.
Boom, we're back. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, that was,
One more time.
that's close. All right, we're about to start the show. 15 seconds. If I'm limping, don't make fun of me. My foot's broken, but you can't tell.
10. 4, 3.
Hey there, I'm Gotti Schwartz, and tonight that critical deadline is here. The war with Iran has now been going on for 60 days without congressional approval. So does this fly in the face of the federal law and the 1973 War Powers Act, which says a president has to remove U.S. forces from conflict within 60 days if there's no congressional approval? Well, the president is doubling down on his suggestion that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional and that the clock is paused anyway because there's a ceasefire right now.
Why are you not seeking congressional approval to extend it?
Because it's never been sought before. There's been many times, and Nobody's ever gotten it before. They consider it totally unconstitutional. But we're always in touch with Congress.
And the White House is sending a letter to Congress saying the ceasefire between the United States and Iran means the clock is paused, adding in part the hostilities that started on February 28, 2026 have been terminated. But what's not mentioned is that ongoing naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. And speaking of that blockade, the administration is launching an effort to try to get allies to step in by helping move ships through that waterway. But as Iran also continues to block ships from passing, gas prices, we are seeing those shoot up across the country. We're going to have more on that in just a bit. But Iran is saying that they did send over another proposal for negotiations to Pakistani mediators. We don't know what's in it, but we do know that the president does not seem happy about it.
I would say that I am not happy. Their leadership is very disjointed, very argumentative with each other. They come back, one says one thing, one says another. They're very confused. They've got to come up with the right deal. At this moment, I'm not satisfied.
Those comments coming hours before Trump arrived in Florida, hitting the road for the first time since a White House Correspondents' Dinner assassination attempt. Now let's bring in NBC's Garrett Haake, who's at the White House right now. Garrett, first off, big question here. When it comes to the whole War Power Act and the whole debate there, let's put aside the semantics for a second and the language and the clock. Like, if this was a violation of the act, with the Republican-controlled House, a Senate, a conservative court, is there any meaningful political will to actually try to enforce it?
That's really what this all comes down to, Gotti. Ultimately, there has to be someone at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue who's willing to say this doesn't work and hold a vote or press the issue a little bit more fulsomely with the White House. And right now, that's not the case. I think with this letter to Congress today, what you have is the White House providing some cover to a Republican Congress who doesn't really want to hold the bag for this war in Iran. And by the way, Gotti, this is just the end or the most recent data point in what has been a very long trend of Congress giving up a lot of their constitutional authority when it comes to military and foreign affairs. Over the time I've been covering Washington, we've seen this more and more as Congress has basically let different chief executives take more responsibility for the deployment of forces and how wars are conducted. They don't want to get their hands dirty with this stuff.
Yeah, and we heard earlier from the president on his reasoning on why he's not seeking approval. Let's play a little bit more of what he said.
So many presidents, as you know, have gone and exceeded it. It's never been used. It's never been adhered to, and every other president considered it totally unconstitutional.
And Garrett, I mean, beyond domestic policy, beyond war powers, is this now becoming part of his, like, foreign policy doctrine, but just unilateral action?
Yeah, I think unilateralism is key to how the president operates in almost any sphere, but especially this term, you've really seen it in foreign policy. And not long before this, we were talking about his unilateral action in Venezuela, where he basically deposed a sitting foreign leader in a sovereign state. And I would go back farther than that, too, to the tariffs, which in this case, in many cases, the Supreme Court has said were unconstitutionally applied. But the president still does get a lot of unilateral authority to make tariff decisions, which is another key form of foreign policy, especially the way he uses it. The idea that he doesn't need Congress for most things, but especially for the conduct of foreign policy, I think is key to understanding how Donald Trump sees this presidency.
And Garrett, while we don't know of any pullbacks on troops from the Middle East right now, we are hearing that the United States is withdrawing troops out of Germany. What's the latest there?
Yeah, so what we understand from the Pentagon is this is about 5,000 troops who'd be pulled out of Germany, where we currently have something like 38,000 stationed. There are more American troops in Germany than in any other European country. What our Pentagon team says is this would involve a brigade combat team. So some of the combat firepower coming out of Germany, where there has been a surge in troops since Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. But this won't affect the combatant commands that are there, including AFRICOM. I know that sounds weird, weird, but we control our African operations out of Germany. Or Landstuhl, which is the big medical center there in Germany, the largest American medical center anywhere out of the United States. So the president has wanted to do something like this for a while. We don't know if those 5,000 troops will end up elsewhere in Europe, maybe in Poland, maybe they come back to the United States. This is still new, but this is the president essentially following through on his anger with the German political class over the way that Germany has responded to the war in Iran.
Interesting. Meanwhile, when it comes to Iran, what are the latest in the negotiations at this point? We know Iran has demands. What do those look like?
It's hard to say, Gotti, what the latest really is. The president says he has received Iran's most recent offer. He's not happy with it. We know the Iranians want the blockade to end. They want sanctions relief, and they want to essentially rejoin the global economy. They also want reparations. They want some kind of payback for the damage that's been done and unfreezing of their assets. But what I think is still the major sticking point here, as it was before the war, is what happens with their nuclear program. The Iranians don't want to say they will give up all access to all nuclear technology forever, which seems to be the U.S. starting position, at least at this point. They say they don't want a nuclear weapon, but they want to continue their research. The president has made pretty clear that's a red line for him. And unless and until that changes, all the rest of this might just be academic.
Yeah, Garrett Haake at the White House. Thank you. And as the war continues, drivers across the country right now, they are still feeling the pain at the pump. Today's national average reaching $4.39. That's a 9-cent increase from yesterday, the largest one-day jump since the ceasefire with Iran was announced in April on the 7th. Since the war started, the average price, I mean, look at the graph here, average price of unleaded has risen by more than 47%. And even if the Strait of Hormuz does open up, ExxonMobil's CEO said it would take up to 2 months for oil flows to get back to normalcy and another month or so for that oil to reach customers. Now let's talk a little bit more about this with Ali Canal. These rising gas prices, Ali, that we've been seeing. But yesterday, President Trump said this about gas right now.
The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place.
What about
You're not going to have to pay a little bit more for gasoline. The gasoline, the oil will go down rapidly as soon as the war is over.
It seems like a guarantee there from the president, but is that guarantee being, I don't know, baked into the market that we're seeing right now?
We're not necessarily going to see anything change overnight. Even if the war were to end tomorrow and the Strait of Hormuz was reopened, energy executives say it would likely take 1 to 2 months before those ships, before those supply flows can get back to where they were pre-war. Remember, before this all happened, we had hundreds of ships and vessels transiting through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. Now we're lucky to just see 1 or 2. So that means in the meantime, we're having to rely on extra supply. So think oil that has already been in storage or was loaded onto vessels before the war. That's not going to last forever. Eventually, we're going to see that extra supply run out, and that is going to have a big ripple effect, not just on the price of oil, but the price of gas, jet fuel, diesel, etc. The list goes on and on and on here, Gotti.
And from the beginning, I mean, we've heard the administration say the issues with the Strait of Hormuz do not affect our domestic gas prices. The supply that was coming to the United States is very, very small. But looking at the numbers, I mean, quite a jump. Like, how do we explain this math here?
So that's not entirely true. So remember, oil is priced on a global market. So disruptions anywhere can impact prices everywhere. It doesn't matter if you get that oil from Texas or Saudi Arabia, you're going to feel that impact. Now, I will say the U.S. has a great supply of oil. We've really worked hard over the years to increase our energy independence from the Middle East. So running out of gas is not an issue here at the U.S., in the U.S., although I will say that abroad, in certain nations, especially over in Europe, they have sent warning signals that they are starting to really see that supply shrink. So even though we're not necessarily seeing that here in the U.S., since oil is a global market, that tightness abroad can still drive prices higher here at home. And that's what you're seeing at the current moment.
And again, this is at the bottom, the foundation of so much of our economy. How is this going to affect inflation upstream?
Yeah, and that's where we're starting to see this spread. We are seeing a little bit more of warning signs from economists that think we could be approaching 4% inflation. That would be well above the Fed's 2% target. Just today, you're seeing on your screen there, the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland projecting that headline inflation, that includes food and energy, that could come in at around 3.5% in April and rise to nearly 3.9% in May, according to their estimates. Energy prices, of course, a really big driver here, but the potential for 4% inflation is very concerning. That's one of the reasons why you saw several Fed officials earlier this week dissent against that policy statement that they claimed had an easing bias. They actually think that there's potential for inflation to reignite conversations about rate hikes instead of rate cuts, and that would open up a whole other can of worms that the Fed, investors, and consumers really didn't consider at the beginning of the year here, Gotti.
Yeah, so much that none of us considered here. Ali Canal, thank you so much. And it looks like Spirit Airlines might be getting ready to shut down for good, maybe even as soon as tomorrow, this weekend. That's because a last-minute rescue plan from the Trump administration seems to be falling apart. NBC's business and data correspondent Brian Chung has the latest on this.
It may soon be the end for Spirit Airlines, which could shut down as soon as Saturday without a last-minute intervention, according to an industry source familiar with the situation. Your first thoughts were?
This is crazy.
How am I supposed to get home?
That source saying conversations are ongoing for the troubled airline, as President Trump says the government handed the company a final proposal.
We're looking at Spirit, and we can help them, we will, but we have to come first. We're first. It's America first.
The company had asked the government for a $500 million lifeline, a deal that could have resulted in the U.S. eventually owning as much as 90% of the airline, a proposal met by skepticism by some rank-and-file Republicans. Spirit Airlines declining to comment, but a spokesperson saying Spirit is operating as usual. Rival budget airline Frontier saying it will help customers, as United says it's ready to support customers and employees impacted if Spirit shuts down. American Airlines announced they're capping prices for main cabin fares on routes that Spirit flies.
And what should travelers do if they're holding a Spirit Airlines ticket right now?
If you're holding a Spirit Airlines ticket and the company does go out of business, call your credit card, see if you can get your money back for your tickets. If you have a ticket for this weekend and you're potentially looking at being stranded at the airport, have a backup plan.
The troubled airline had filed for bankruptcy twice in the last 2 years and had been grappling with soaring jet fuel costs coming from the war with Iran, as the price of the pump also jumped 9 cents today, the biggest one-day increase since early March.
Oh my goodness, gas prices are ridiculous.
Listen, gas prices makes you want to walk.
At $4.39 on average, a gallon of regular now costs 47% more than it did when the war began.
Gas prices make you want to walk. True words. Brian Chung, thank you so much. And turning now to the UK, where tensions remain high after a recent anti-Semitic attack in North London that officials are calling a terrorism incident. Now the country's threat level has been raised to severe. That is the highest in several years. And NBC's Raf Sanchez has those details.
Hey there, yeah, officials here in the UK now raising the terror threat level to its second highest level. That is severe. It means that a terrorist attack in the UK is considered highly likely. Now, this comes after that anti-Semitic stabbing attack in North London earlier this week, a man stabbing and wounding 2 Jewish men in the Golders Green area. But authorities are saying that that is not the only reason the terror threat level is being elevated. They say that they are tracking both Islamist jihadist threats, but also potential threats from the extreme right. The last time the terror threat level was this high in this country was 4 years ago. That followed the murder of a British member of parliament and a bombing outside of a hospital up in the north of England. Now, the suspect in that stabbing attack was in court today. He is 45 years old, and he has now been charged with 3 counts of attempted murder. 2 of those counts are the Jewish men he stabbed on the street. The third is a stabbing he carried out earlier in the day. That apparently was a personal issue. British prosecutors and police are not releasing a whole lot of details about him right now, but they do say that he has a history of severe mental health problems. And one very important line of inquiry is whether this attack is in any way linked to the war in Iran. A group known by its initials, HAYI, has been claiming responsibility for a string of firebomb attacks on Jewish sites across Europe in the last couple of weeks, saying that it is in response to the war in Iran. That same group claiming responsibility for the attack in North London, but it is not clear right now whether they were truly responsible or whether this was an opportunistic move. I'll send it back to you.
Ralph Sanchez, thank you. And today, May Day protests are drawing thousands into the streets across the entire world. From the United States to Europe to Asia, workers are calling for higher wages, better conditions, relief from rising costs. But out in Venezuela, protests have actually been going on for weeks now as workers say that they are struggling to just get by.
Salario, pensiones, democracia y libertad. Salario.
And they are chanting salaries, pensions, democracy, freedom. People are demanding higher pay. And when you look at the numbers, they are pretty staggering here. Annual inflation has skyrocketed to more than 600% as of February 2026. It was bad before. And just yesterday, acting President Delcy Rodriguez announced a wage increase from about $190 to roughly $240 a month.
I must emphasize that this is the most significant increase in recent years. We have not had an increase that allowed us to reach this level. I also want to report that our elderly, our grandfathers, our grandmothers, those who have been hit the hardest, will receive a pension equivalent to $70, which represents a 40% increase.
She said the increase still falls short of what's needed, saying that there's a long way to go. And on the streets, outrage remains. Let's bring in Ana Vanessa Herrero, who is on the ground in Caracas tonight. Ana, great to see you. The craziest part of all this is that the base monthly salary is still only like pennies. I mean, it is $27 a month or something like that. They're saying this bump, if I understand it correctly, which is still pretty tiny, will come in the form of bonuses, but then where that comes from is a huge question mark. To give our viewers a little bit of a perspective here, let's quickly play this this interview you did with an older person a little bit earlier.
We're asking for a fair wage, pensions. What am I supposed to do with 130 bolivars? I'll say it again, not even a cup of coffee, because a cup costs 180 to 200 bolivars. A small coffee, one coffee, and they charge you that many bolivars. You have to wait a month just to have a cup of coffee. That's life. Just like me, what I've told you, there are many of us suffering like this. It's not just a few of us, it's all of us who are suffering through this.
That 72-year-old putting things into perspective. How are people getting by?
Well, actually, they're not. And actually, the base salary, it's less than $1 a month. It's roughly 27 cents, 28 cents a month. So for pensions, it's a little bit more, $1 and something, $1.50 maybe. It depends on inflation and it depends on the depreciation of the bolivar. But people, what they were telling us today when we were out there with them on the streets in this protest, this new protest, was that this is not enough. Of course, this new increase in salary doesn't even come close to what people really need to survive, whatever they're struggling in this crazy Venezuelan economy.
And here in the United States, you know, with all the things happening in the world, it seems kind of like Venezuela had somewhat been forgotten ever since Maduro was removed, with the assumption that, oh, well, things must be better down there, or more stable at least. The reality you're showing here is very different.
It's absolutely different on the ground. So the thing here in Venezuela is that the country is trying to establish itself in the middle of these two realities. The global political sphere show us that there is, in fact, a huge change, which translates into new agreements, laws, bilateral diplomatic relations renewed, and, for example, the new flights, direct straight flights from Miami to Caracas, that were, broadly celebrated this week. But on the ground, things feel absolutely different. People like the man that we're seeing there, Luis, he told me that he doesn't really feel this change that both the Trump administration, the Delcy Rodriguez administration are talking about. So really, it's kind of a limbo for regular citizens, but not for the diplomatic and the high political sphere.
And Delcy Rodriguez is basically the anointed one, according to Trump. And yet, politics in Venezuela is very complicated, very complex. It's set up by, the support of some of those colectivos that we've seen. But politically, does it seem like there's another option out there that may be rising, or is it going to be Delcy for quite some time?
Well, this is really interesting that you bring this up, because I was talking to a lot of people today, and I've been talking to a lot of people since January 3rd regarding this. What are their expectations? And people today specifically told me that they were growing increasingly worried that the new reality is going to be Delcy Rodriguez staying there, making Donald Trump happy, while the people on the ground still remain in despair. So about another possibility, people wish that there was another possibility. There's no other possibility that they are allowing us to see from within the government. But people are still waiting for Maria Corina Machado and the opposition to step in. But that hasn't happened yet, and we have no clear information when that's going to happen.
Yeah, something that we are all watching to see. Anna, thank you so much. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, what we are learning about a potential suicide note that Jeffrey Epstein might have left behind that the DOJ may not have seen. Plus, later this hour, NBC's queen of all things tech, Joanna Stern, is letting a humanoid robot take over her house. Stay tuned to see what happened next. And also, we're trying a little something new here. If you see this QR code, feel free to scan through. You can chat with us live during the breaks. That's going to take you behind the scenes, streaming on YouTube, on Twitch, on TikTok. Swing by and come join the conversation.
Let's see. Willie, it's not more stable, according to the people that we saw. So, yeah, we will continue to report out that situation, but definitely not the bonanza that everybody thought might happen, because Venezuela oil is flowing to the United States. We just don't know where money is going. Do you get to practice a lot of Spanish in LA? Not very much. Actually, my daughter and I, we practice almost, I wish it was every night, but try to every night, where she goes Spanish mode, and then I just speak to her in Spanish. Tina, great to see you. Yeah, I'm glad you saw the Miss Rachel piece yesterday or the day before. Yeah, we were hoping that you saw that. Let's see. MS, what's your favorite time? Piracy at the high seas. Interesting. MS. Maybe I should go back and see what you said before. Petrodollar. Petrodollar is something that we've covered we've covered it pretty deeply here, and there's a lot more to cover there. But yeah, we're not letting petrodollar and the future of global trade in US dollars out of our sights. All right, 10 seconds, here we go. Hey, what's up, Brazil? Man, we got a bunch of people. Thiago.
Hey, welcome back, and here are the headlines we are watching tonight. A U.S. Court of Appeals has temporarily blocked an abortion pill from being distributed by mail. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals blocked a lower Louisiana court's ruling allowing mifepristone to be dispensed in the mail. This now limits access to the drug in states where those abortion medications and procedures are banned. Mifepristone could still be dispensed in person as this legal battle plays out. And police identified the remains of a University of South Florida doctoral student who was found last week as Nahida Bristi. Now, a suspect has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder of Bristi and Azamil Limon. 27-year-olds were discovered in separate locations around Tampa Bay after they disappeared on April 16th. And major flooding out in San Antonio today. Heavy rains caused roads to flood, several schools in the area to close, and there were delays. And the National Weather Service has now extended a flash flood warning for some counties. Emergency crews are urging drivers to avoid flooded streets and use extreme caution while driving tonight. And there was this rare double eruption at Yellowstone's Black Diamond Pool. Look at this. This is a hot springs that exploded for the 2nd time this week. But this explosion is bigger than the first one. Scientists say this is a reminder of how unpredictable that area can be. The pool has been closely monitored since a major explosion back in 2024. And hold your horses just for a few more hours. The Kentucky Derby officially starts tomorrow. The race at Churchill Downs marks the first leg of the Triple Crown and kicks off one of the biggest weekends in horse racing. Fans from around the world are gathering in Louisville for the Run of the Roses as the road for a potential Triple Crown champion begins. And turning now to a deadly bank heist in Kentucky that turned into a statewide manhunt. But police say the case was finally cracked by the suspect's own social media posts. Authorities say it started with this bank surveillance image taken during yesterday's robbery that left 2 employees dead. Then they linked the suspect's getaway car to this Facebook page where these photos blew the investigation wide open. All right, let's bring in Maggie Vespa to talk a little bit more about this heist. So, Maggie, can you walk us through the link here between that surveillance photo and the suspect's own social media?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It was an FBI special agent that really got into the granular of this in the federal criminal complaint. So there's the bank surveillance image, right? You see him in that hoodie, gray pants, white sneakers, and then you cut to his social media posts in which some of them he's wearing the same clothes that he was wearing, investigators say, during the bank heist. We have those Facebook photos ready to go. You can see in one of them he's wearing gray pants, and another one you can see that he's wearing, those are the sneakers there, those white Nike sneakers with the light gray accents. Investigators say they got to these because they saw him driving off in a silver BMW. They saw the plates on another surveillance camera right after the bank heist. It was his getaway car. That car was registered to a name attached to this Facebook profile. A lot of online sleuthing really went into this. And then they say in the hours after the bank robbery, he posted again while he was on the run. If we can pull up what's known in our newsroom as the alien photo, basically you have Braylon Weaver, the guy who's been, again, now arrested and charged in this case. Look at that. It says, "I pledge allegiance to the bag." It's an alien holding cash. We have no idea where he got that from. But again, this is the hours after the heist, after he's just shot and killed. Investigators say 2 people. This pops up on his social media account. This is, again, while police are pursuing him, the FBI is pursuing him. They eventually tracked him down around 3 in the morning. This was a statewide manhunt. And today, a few hours later, authorities had this to say.
While we cannot explain why this tragedy occurred, we can explain how it was brought to an end. The fight to keep our communities safe is a team effort that we share with all of our partners, including members of the community. We thank the community for being diligent and repeatedly calling in tips for us last night.
Yeah, so really, I mean, think about it, Gotti. This was a 12-hour manhunt that at one point the FBI says they got into a high-speed chase with this guy, topping 130 miles per hour. They were warning people during the chase and during the manhunt to lock their doors, lock their windows, be vigilant out and about, call in tips. And they say a lot of those social media tips and tips over the phone actually helped them track this guy down. A scary day in this part of Kentucky.
Yeah, very scary and so dangerous. And the suspect, he's already facing federal charges that carry the possibility of the death penalty, right?
Right. So a number of federal charges, as you can imagine. 2 of them, because there were 2 deaths. Again, 2 people, 2 bank employees killed during this. The charges tied to that are causing death with a firearm. Now, if federal prosecutors can prove that those deaths were indeed murders, then they can ratchet up the possible penalty to life in prison and or the death penalty. So a little bit of legal maneuvering there. You're seeing the photos of the victims in this case. Again, 2 bank employees, Brianna Edwards there on the right. If we can pull up the statement from her husband, he told us today about his wife, who was a teller at the bank. Quote, "My wife was shot and killed yesterday while at her job at the U.S. Bank in Berea." He said, "I can't put into words the devastation I feel. I'm hollow." Brianna brought a light into every space she entered. She never had a bad word to say about anybody and would do everything she could for any person in need of anything. And he goes on to say she was taken much too soon from this world and she deserved so much more than this. So, Gotti, you talked about the process with these charges that's playing out. The state also bringing charges of its own, according to the county attorney there. They want to bring murder charges on their front as well. They said at least in part to try and honor these victims and bring justice to their families. Gotti.
So tragic. Maggie Vespa, thank you. And now to some new details about Jeffrey Epstein. A cellmate says he found an alleged suicide note after Epstein was found in his cell. This was back in 2019. Epstein's death was later ruled a homicide. And Stephanie Gosk has the latest on whether investigators might have missed a key piece of evidence.
New tonight, did accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein write a suicide note before attempting to take his own life? The New York Times reporting that a note may exist and is being held under seal by a federal judge. Epstein allegedly writing, "It's time to say goodbye." According to this man, convicted murderer Nicholas Tartaglione, a former NYPD officer who shared a cell with Epstein in 2019. Tartaglione said something similar in a podcast last year.
Jeffrey Epstein wrote a suicide note.
He says he discovered the note after Epstein's apparent suicide attempt weeks before his actual death.
It was in my book, yeah. When I got back into the cell, I opened my book to read, and there it was.
Tartaglione adding,
It said something like FBI, looked into me for months and found nothing.
NBC News has not seen the note, and the Times says it has not either. In a statement, the DOJ says it is hard to comment on a note it has not seen, adding the department underwent an exhaustive effort to collect all records. Epstein's death, which the medical examiner's office declared a suicide, has been the subject of intense scrutiny, with many speculating, without proof, that Epstein was murdered. A suicide note could potentially dispel the conspiracies. The New York Times is asking the federal court to unseal the alleged suicide note, which is caught up in Tartaglione's legal proceeding. The Times arguing he talked about the note in that podcast, and public interest in Epstein is immense.
Stephanie Gosk, thank you so much. And coming up, a hero grandson jumps into action to save his grandparents trapped under the rubble of their home after a tornado swept through. That story is coming up.
90 seconds? All right, 90 seconds. Wow. The Philippines, DNA. Great to see you.
C reverse.
Good morning. Wow. ATP. Chinga, thank you so much for asking. The foot is not feeling great, actually. So I'm going to get back in the boot right after the show. But it's healing. It's getting there. I'm out of the boot right now. I'm trying to do the show standing up. We were standing up over here?
Yeah, 1 minute.
We got another segment where we're standing. So I don't know if all of a sudden Sean out there in 30 Rock, where is he? Boom. There he is. He's basically my physical therapist now. He's like, dude, I've seen your calf muscles. You got to keep standing. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing here. Let's see. Oh, thanks so much, Hi. Favorite news segment this week?
30.
I don't know. You'll have to see this. The one with Sal Khan yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, Sal Khan yesterday was phenomenal. Obviously, my daughter winning her Academic Achievement Award. But this Joanna Stern one with robots is freaking epic. So you'll have to pay attention because that's coming up in just a bit here. 10 seconds? All right, here we go.
5, 4, 3.
And out in Oklahoma, tornadoes have been ripping through neighborhoods this spring, with first responders working around the clock to help those in need. And there was this one EMT. Well, he was in the right place at the right time. He saved his 88-year-old grandparents from the rubble of their home. NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler has this remarkable story.
It was an unbelievable rescue from under the rubble.
Do you feel lucky to be alive this morning?
Oh, yes, I do. Very blessed.
88-year-old Emily Denton and her husband Gordon were buried when this massive tornado slammed into their Oklahoma home last week.
It's just hard to fathom how two people managed to come out of this.
Their son Richard heard the tornado barrel toward them over the phone.
I heard the whole house just leave. It was the biggest, loudest whoosh, lost connection. I thought they were gone. Yeah, immediately.
But above the rubble, they found a familiar face, ready for the rescue.
We get ready to transport, and I find out it's my grandma and grandpa.
Emily and Gordon's grandson, Peyton, behind the wheel of their ambulance.
When you saw each other, what was that like?
Her face lit up with a smile. They were pretty relieved when they saw it was me. I gave them a hug and got going.
The young man's been an EMT for just about a year. He was off duty that night, but rushed into action when he saw his grandparents' neighborhood was in the tornado's path. Relieved to be alive, thanks to their family and generations of love by their side to help recover.
You realized at one point you're going to be okay.
Yes, when they were pulling us out, I thought, yeah, we're going to be all right. We're going to be okay.
In Enid, Oklahoma, Ryan Chandler, NBC News.
Yeah, still praying for their recovery there. Ryan Chandler, thank you so much. And coming up just ahead, in the future of everything, would you let a humanoid robot run things in your home? Oh, Joanna Stern is going to give it a go. That's coming up next.
All right, 90 here.
90, all right. We're back. Okay. That's a miracle, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was so, but still, even with that miracle, you just got to see all that destruction and know that there are so many families that are just going through the worst week of their entire lives. It's crazy. Tornadoes are the scariest, I think, natural disaster. Been through wildfires, hurricanes, never been through a tornado, but we've chased tornadoes and we've seen tornadoes and we've rolled up right after a tornado rips through, and there is nothing more powerful than, you know, a tornado sending like a 2x4 straight through like a wall, and knowing that all of a sudden those things can come in the middle of the night like a freight train. It's terrifying. When am I taking the show on the road? That's a good idea. Maybe when my foot is better. That's a good idea. Banff? Wait, you've been talking to us from Banff this entire time?
20.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Welcome back. And tonight, in the future of everything, do the laundry humanoid robot. Well, we've seen them dance. We've seen them run half marathons. We've even seen them ice skating pretty well, right? Well, many of these guys are built by a Chinese company called Unitree Robotics, and literally tons of them are being shipped to the United States, raising some national security concerns, and one of them has made its way into the inviting home of NBC's chief tech analyst, Joanna Stern. She explains all of it in this new video series, New Things. Here's a peek.
They're here, Chinese robots, in America, in our streets, and maybe our homes.
Oh, hi. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Come on in. Make yourself at home.
Okay, maybe not yet. These robots are being imported by the thousands to this warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Is there any fear that data from that robot is going back to China?
There's definitely fear.
But unlike Chinese smartphones and electric vehicles, which are basically banned here, these robots are walking right on in. Or should I say, dancing in. But why? And are they safe? And what can they actually do? You You've probably seen the Unitree G1 before. Here it is, or they are, dancing at the Chinese New Year. And here, chasing a Polish boar. And here, in a stage stunt. It's become the internet's most popular humanoid because it's one of the most affordable, starting at $13,500 retail. And it's readily available in various countries. Plus, it's got the moves.
Enter deductible. Please keep a safe distance.
So what's the concern? Just look at the FBI's website. Counterintelligence and economic espionage efforts emanating from the government of China and the Chinese Communist Party are a grave threat. Unitree is based in Hangzhou, China, and it's shipped more humanoid robots than any other company in the world. And one of the biggest destinations of those robots? None other than Plainview, Long Island, home of RoboStore.
So the robots fly in here, then where do they go?
A lot of stuff we bring in, we actually do some assembly here. A lot of them, we put pieces together, and that's one of the things we're working on is like doing better is assembly in the United States.
I wanted to see exactly what the G1 could do out of the box. So naturally, I brought it home.
So what you gonna do here?
Please check the network and try again.
Can you open the dishwasher? That's a no. So can you cook? No, this means no. There you go, super good. Great stuff. Can you do the laundry? Awesome, cool. Can't do the laundry either.
Out of the box, the G1 is really just a fancy remote-controlled robot. In fact, my G1 came with a handheld control and some really nice humans to do the controlling. You can get even more advanced and control it with a VR headset. This higher-end model comes pre-programmed to...
Oh, this way, okay.
And fight.
Why bring these in from China?
The technology's better there, but I believe that the US is really good at putting together solutions. So we have plans to start localizing and assembling and doing light manufacturing in the United States, but we still depend on Asia for a lot of our parts. Just as we depend on it for the iPhone and the MacBook, and these are really expensive products, right? They're premium, but we still don't make them here.
Some of the biggest US tech companies are using Unitree robots for development. Universities are testing the G1 in medical settings. At MIT, labs are putting them through their paces in a range of real-world scenarios.
But should we be letting Chinese robots into our factories, our stores, our homes?
The fear with other Chinese electronics has always been twofold. That the data gets sent back to China, and that the devices themselves could be compromised, used for surveillance, or even controlled remotely. It's why Huawei phones were banned. It's why Chinese EVs can't be sold here. Many are starting to warn that we're already playing with fire. Damian Shelton, the co-founder and chairman of US-based Agility Robotics, has been vocal about these fears.
2 recent papers by security researchers have identified a critical security vulnerability in a Chinese humanoid robot, allowing for remote takeover, as well as a phone home data logging mechanism that sends data to a remote server.
What's the real fear of having robots coming in from China?
There are concerns both around the technical advantage that you would get from having access to very large amounts of training data, and then also the privacy and data security side of this from a data exfiltration.
RoboStore says that most of the robots that come into its facility are reassembled and tweaked before being shipped to customers, and they are stripped of the Chinese software they arrive with. Unitree did not respond to my repeated requests for comment. But not everyone's convinced that precautions like these make the risks go away.
These devices are just so complicated that it's very hard to know what something is doing without a full security teardown. And of course, that's difficult or impossible to do externally.
And NBC's chief tech analyst and queen of all things tech, Joanna Stern, joins us now. Joanna, great to see you. So these things can't clean, they can't do laundry, but they can have random dance parties. Is that what we're looking at here?
We're looking at that until they get smarter, until they get trained on our data. But yeah, pretty much for now, you've got to train these. It's like having a toddler.
And yeah, it's like, I don't know. I watch this, we're all laughing and guffawing over how cute and weird and odd it all is. But like looking at the cost of this thing, looking at the hardware, the dance moves, the fact that they are coming into the United States at a crazy pace, like, are these Trojan horses here?
Look, we don't really know yet. We know that the hardware that is being made out of China is superior to anything we really have right now, at least at the price point coming out of the US. And we know that they need a lot of data, these robots. They need a lot of data to learn how to do the things we want them to do. So we want them to clean the floors. They need data on how to clean the floors by watching us clean the floors. We want them to do the dishes, same situation. So we're in this period, and we're going to be in this period for a while, where the robots are learning from us and they're training on our data from us.
How long do you think it's going to be before the United States can scale up and can compete with these kind of robots at a mass scale?
Well, just this week, actually, two of the biggest U.S. humanoid companies that are making these robots, Figure and 1X, have announced progress in assembly and manufacturing in the U.S. The question is are they going to be able to bring and make these for the price point that the Chinese are being able to do this? This is a sub $20,000 robot that is... Yes, you have to add things on, and it's not as advanced at that price. You'd have to get things for a little bit more money if you add those things on. But still, this is where China has always been superior to the U.S. in terms of the scale and in terms of the price point.
It's so interesting that we see this, and we've seen this type of disruption exactly with drone technology. I mean, DJI is so far superior to anything that we've been making for a very long time. We see restrictions there. This robot domain seems to be somewhat open, but is there a possibility in which, I don't know, we see Chinese robots brought here, and as you've kind of been reporting, maybe stripped of all Chinese software, jailbroken to be only a United States robot with Chinese hardware, and basically safe for consumers here?
I mean, and that's what you heard from Teddy Haggerty, who's the CEO of RoboStore in the segment, right? That China is superior here, and we are probably going to have a similar model to what we had with smartphones or computers, where the hardware is made overseas in Asia, but the software could be from U.S. companies, and the smarts and the brains of these robots may be equivalent to the Android operating system or the iOS or Apple operating system, right? Where the hardware is made overseas, but our software, our systems are what really power these.
Amazing. Joanna Stern, such a fascinating report. And like I gotta say, I would hate to be a robot in your house. Your house is immaculate, and no robot is ever gonna be able to match whatever you're doing over there to keep it so clean, especially with kids. You are a force of nature. Thank you so much. And to see Joanna's full video starting tomorrow, you can check it out 10 a.m. Eastern. Download the NBC News app. And for this next story, ping pong. And no, we're not talking ping. No more robots. Instead, we are going to highlight a human, a Dominican-born player who is making waves in the sport right now. She's been playing since she was 10 years old, and she just made an appearance in the Oscar-nominated movie Marty Supreme. NBC's Valerie Castro reports.
With a swing and a whack, table tennis is a game of strategy more than strength. And this powerhouse from the Dominican Republic is a grandmaster. With her sights set on the World Championships this week and the Summer Olympics in 2028, 28-year-old Yaciris Ortiz helping to grow the fast-paced, quick-moving sport in New York City, the place she's called home for the last decade.
I have seen a tremendous growth in the sport, which makes me very, very happy. It's more accessible, more open to the public.
She attributes some of that growth to the Oscar-nominated film Marty Supreme, starring Timothée Chalamet. It's the story of a player doing whatever it takes to be the best in the world.
I can relate because where I come from, we didn't have any type of resources. You kind of have to figure out yourself how to make it happen. And that's why I really like the story of the movie.
Watch closely. Ortiz made her own appearance in the film.
At first, I was like, what? I actually made it in the movie? That's crazy.
Seeing herself and the sport she loves on the silver screen, fueling her dreams even more.
It has been like a long journey of promoting and creating more awareness of table tennis, not just as a professional sport, but as a sport for like your health, your mind, and like for people to have fun.
When she's not training, Ortiz is playing with her best friend and fellow competitor Idalis Lovet, a former national player from Cuba. The two meeting in competition when they were just 10 years old. Someday, she'd tell me, you have to come, you have to come. We were always determined that one day I had to make it here, she says. With her help, Ortiz is bringing the sport to public school students as part of free after-school programming through her nonprofit, Spin and Learn.
It allows our students that are from this community to see someone that looks like them, that talks like them, that sounds like them, and that she's being able to travel abroad and venture out into a whole new world.
Have you learned anything about yourself while playing this game?
Yes, that I can believe in myself. I've learned about never giving up and that I could do whatever I can.
Ortiz was just a kid herself when she picked up a paddle at 8 years old.
I remember just dreaming about like, you know, being in a plane or like traveling to another country, and I was able to achieve that dream through the sport. So that's when I was like, I want to play this sport for my entire life.
In the midst of her busy training schedule, Ortiz showed me the basics.
And this is gonna give you like kind of more flexibility in your wrist.
But her next goal, to open a table tennis academy in the U.S.
Where I can actually bring like international players, and maybe I can invite Timothée Chalamet to come and like do the opening, right, as well. So it will be cool. I have that dream, and I'm very sure it's gonna become a reality.
Turning a hustle into a legacy. Valerie Castro, NBC News.
How about that? Dream big, sueña en grande. Definitely Timmy would show up for that. Valerie, thank you so much. And still to come, how one school is challenging students to filter the flood of information and misinformation they see online so they think before they post. But first, you got to see this. A jet-powered hoverboard. That's not something you see every day, but behind him, that is a golden retriever being pulled on a jet ski, and this isn't even the first time the pair have been spotted on the water. Apparently, they've been making waves in Florida for years. We'll be right back.
All right, that was a great ping pong. You know, we have a ping pong table here on the Universal Studios lot, and we used to go hard on the ping pong table. We should probably revisit that. Oh no!
For today's youth, information has never been more accessible, but as our feeds become more flooded with AI-generated content and misinformation, that line between what is real and what is fake is getting harder to see. There's one Philadelphia principal, though, that started to see how much of a problem that was shaping up to be with her students' views of the world being warped, and so she decided it was time to take some action. Take a look.
For today's students, one of the most powerful influences doesn't always come from a classroom, it's a scroll. After the last presidential election, high school principal Nemet Aaron noticed something surprising about the students who were eligible to vote.
Most of the kids talked about what they saw on TikTok and Instagram as to who they voted for and why.
At Kensington Health and Sciences Academy, over 70% of students spend more than 3 hours a day on their phone. With so much time being spent online, students are constantly navigating a flood of information.
The internet, it's not just one-sided.
And that's why Principal Aaron came up with Project Facts, which stands for
Find out where it's from, analyze it, challenge it, think before you share.
The project is a student-driven club that creates a curriculum to help high school students process information that they are consuming online. And the most important part of the mission is letting the students take the lead.
I think it's important that the school allows us to have a voice and it allows us to share and educate others.
We know how other students think, so we could make the different weeks seem fun and not just someone talking to you about stuff like you don't really care about.
They meet weekly to talk about the curriculum, current events, and find out what issues are impacting students.
I see a lot of TikTok accounts that are saying that they're like Congress or like the White House.
And the lesson plans created from these meetings are then taught during the school's advisory period. So far, the senior class has covered vaccinations, misinformation, internet safety, and social media literacy.
We wanted to send a message like, these are the dangers. Social media can be a negative thing, but it can also be a positive thing. It's just how you educate yourself when using it.
Why is democracy important?
The junior class decided to shift their curriculum to teaching their classmates about voting.
While we were creating the plan, we were also informing not just others but ourselves about who we would vote for, what it is, what it even matters for.
The lesson plans are hands-on and educational, and during one unit, students made their own commercial advertising the importance of checking your facts.
Nate, don't post that video. Did you even do your facts check?
Facts? Are you really gonna listen to this guy? Just post it.
We heard it around the school. Kids would be like, oh, check your facts. Even if it was as a joke or real life, I feel like the videos definitely make kids be more interactive.
Senior Ariana Lucero says Project Facts has changed how she sees the world.
I think I'm definitely more open to looking at a piece of information and looking to see, is this information true? Who is it coming from? Where is it coming from?
I definitely will see a fake video now and be like, that might not be right, or is something wrong?
I fall for many AI videos on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So with the facts video, actually got me thinking how to see which videos are AI and which videos are not.
And the principal says this lesson isn't just for high school students.
This is for all adults who engage in social media or just engage in the news in general, to always think for themselves about what they're seeing and before they sharing it, really analyzing and doing that work before they think it's a good source or not.
Her message, the next time you share that video, make sure you check your facts.
Just take a second and think for yourself, Nate.
Think for yourself. That video, I love it. Before we go tonight, let's wrap up your week with 60 seconds of joy at Shore Road Elementary in Belmore, New York. The courtyard becomes this very special place. Each spring, that same mom duck has nested right outside the classroom for the last 14 years. Teachers say this is now a tradition. It's a hands-on lesson you'll never find in a textbook, never find on a computer. And this year, 12 healthy ducklings joined her, giving her students, the staff there, a front row seat to their birthday party. And just as the ducklings started to waddle, the little family took an unexpected detour.
They hatched, and that day, the door just happened to be open, one of the doors to the art room, and she just took them and walked them right through the art room, right into the gym, and then walked around the school.
We had to lead them across the street and out into the neighbors. The neighbors here are great. They actually let us go onto their property to get the ducks to the water.
And each of those ducklings made it onto the dock, taking one last leap of faith into the water and paddling off into the distance with Mom. Talk about some lucky little ducklings. We'll be right back. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here on Monday. But until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now.